afternoon, good evening, whatever time it is you're watching this video. Thanks so much for clicking on my channel. My name is Emmy. Sorry for those of you subscribers who have watched me dedicatedly for a while and I have gone MIA. It's just been a super crazy season work-wise for me, like real work-wise. And I've actually filmed a few videos, but I think the filming gods are just against me. Technical difficulties, my camera turns off halfway through, the camera moves, and all of a sudden all I have is my boobs on camera and my voice. So anyway, so many random things, and I'm really hoping that this video does not get ruined and it goes up for you guys. So I've been playing around with ColourPop a lot, and this has become my favorite summer palette very quickly. It is the Yes Please palette. Ignore how crazy dirty it is. So I'm gonna do a tutorial today with this palette. As you can see, it has amazing summer colors in it. So I created this eye look right here. If you want to see how I got it, I do take you step by step. I tell you how I'm blending, what I'm doing. So this is a really great video if you are a beginner to makeup or to shadows. If you like those kind of videos, please stay tuned. Without further ado, let's get right into the tutorial. P.S. Please ignore my nails, my eyebrows. It's been crazy. I just don't got time for that right now. So let's do this. So I have you all zoomed in. Oh, the camera placement is freaking me out. I think I'm just totally paranoid now. I hope this video works out. Start off, I'm gonna go ahead and start off by using full zip. So that's this color here. It's a very light peachy toned nude. So I'm just gonna basically prep my eyelids. I'm gonna put a very light coat of this all over my lid. But for my very first transition shade, I'm gonna go ahead and use Big Cocktails. So that's this color right here. It's kind of like a pumpkin color, but it's not too dark of an orange. The one thing I will say about this ColourPop palette is that it does have a lot of kickback. So if you see that, it has a lot back, but they do perform really well. So just move past that if you do buy this palette. So I'm gonna put this out here on the outer corner. I always just like to dab it on first and then slowly in circular motions start blending it so that way it's not like this harsh like box on my eye. And then I bring it over through the crease of my eye. So the transition of your eye is basically finding your crease and putting a line right there that's gonna make all the other shadows start blending in together, and it's gonna start helping you build some depth. So that's kind of a starting point and a guideline, kind of like a grid to where all your other shadows are gonna go above and below. This color doesn't have to be very intense. In fact, it probably shouldn't. It should be generally pretty light and more or less neutral to whatever color scheme you're gonna do on your shadows. So just patting, a little bit of circles, and then bring it across the crease of my eye. And then just, I'm gonna continue to do this. Circle, back and forth until I feel like it's blended enough and I don't see any streakiness or patchiness or anything. And when you hear this, I'm tapping off the excess so that way I don't get too much intense pigment, one, and two, also to avoid fallout on my face. I don't have any face makeup on right now, so it's not the biggest deal in the world, but if I did, that would be a super big deal to avoid the fallout. The fallout is like particles that fall on your face and then ruin the rest of your makeup. Now you can do this transition shade a lot lighter than I just did. I just know I want this to be super vibrant, so I did pack on about 2 or 3 layers of that transition shade, so it kind of became my transition shade and my first crease shade all at once. I'm gonna use my favorite color in the palette, which is the yellow. It's called Mischief, right? Yeah, Mischief. Anyway, so it's this color right here. I'm just gonna take it on a flatter brush because I want it to go on my lid and I want it to be pretty precise, so that's what I'm doing to make that more precise versus a blending brush that I'm trying to kind of spread out. When you want something to be in an exact spot, you use a flatter brush. So I'm just tapping this on my lid, just right where I want it. And I do want this to go all the way through my inner corner. And also with really highly pigmented shades like this that you want to be super vibrant, tapping them on really is gonna make that color pop. And then after you tap them on, you worry about the blending later. So I am bringing this up from the inner corner to the crease just a little bit. So I think that's as intense as I want that right now. I'm gonna start deepening this up to create some depth. If I leave it like this, there's not necessarily anything wrong with it, but it's just gonna look kind of flat. So I'm gonna do one eye, and before I do the next, I'll stop so you can see the difference. Taking just kind of a flatter blending brush, I'm gonna go ahead and go into GNO, which is a darker pumpkin shade. It's this shade right here. It's gonna look like I'm putting it in the same spot as my transition shade, but what I'm actually doing is I'm starting on the outer corner right here, and you see how I'm holding the brush kind of upward, not flat? So I'm gonna start it here, and then I'm gonna go deep and go deep, deep into my crease underneath that transition shade, but above my lid. So above the yellow and not quite as high as my blended transition shade. So basically I am carving out my eye socket. That sounded really gross, but in like an artist way, not in a butcher way. Anyway, so carving out my eyelid space, starting again from this corner, going deep into the eye socket. Don't hurt yourself, don't like stab yourself, but just find where it indents and just follow that across. So find where it indents and follow it across. You can stop this mid-lid or in the inner corner, or take it all the way over here. So depending on where you stop it, it's gonna create a slightly different look. I'm stopping right before my inner corner, not putting it up here and across, because that would create a slightly more intense eye look. It closes the eye up a little bit. The intense nighttime looks, I do like the closing of the eyes. It just makes it look more sultry. But for this, I'm not gonna go in that far. So right out here, and then following my eye socket all the way in. And now you guys can clearly see how it didn't blend in the corner. So what I'm going to do is I'm gonna grab my original transition shade brush, and I'm just gonna start sweeping upward into that transition shade from that corner. So I'm making this blend in together. See already how this eye is showing more intensity and just more depth and a little bit less flat than this eye. At least I hope you can see that. But to even kick it up one more notch, I'm gonna use a slightly darker shade over here and also do the same thing following that eye socket inward, but except I'm not gonna take it in as far. I'm gonna leave it kind of on this outside corner right here. Grabbing a smaller blending brush, this one's also flatter, and I'm gonna go in to French Kiss, which is a very like warm brown color. I'm gonna put that again right here. This I'm gonna keep really close to the lash line to begin with. And I first wanna intensify it right here, and then I'm gonna worry about bringing it in and blending it. For those of you that are here to kind of get an idea of how this Yes Please ColourPop palette works, I'm gonna let you know that this French Kiss color is stiffer than the other matte colors in the palette, so it does take more work to blend out, but it's still really, really nice. So once that's as intense as I want it, what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to go back to GNO, which was the darker pumpkin shade, the one I took in the socket all the way across. And I'm going to do the same thing again, but just starting at the outer corner. I'm not touching the bottom because I want that to stay as intense as possible. But I am going to do it up here and bring it across again because I want these shades to basically convert into each other and become one. I'm marrying these shades together. I'm going to take my blending brush. It has nothing on it really. And I'm just going to, again, go into circular motions and start really blending those colors together to make this as seamless as possible. You want that depth in the layers of color, but you don't want to see these harsh lines. So circular, 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 and then it's just really little circles all the way across over all that color placement with a little back and forth. So you can do this until you feel that it's as seamless as possible. That's pretty much where I want it, but I'm gonna take some more GNO when it comes to like right here on the lid space and put it more intensely down, again, to create a better blend right there. And I'm just focusing it right where I want it to blend better. Back with the blending brush and doing little circles. And then back and forth windshield wiper motions as well. So at this point, that has blended and transitioned into each other really nicely. So I'm gonna stop there and I'm gonna go back into Mischief, the yellow color, and put that back on my lid where I want it because I don't wanna take away from that yellow because I love it so much. Back on the flat brush, I'm gonna pat it right where it's still showing through and just intensifying that section more. And I'm just gonna layer it up till it's at the intense level that I want it to be. Go back with my blending brush and I'm just gonna smooth those edges out. Again, it looks prettier when there is no harsh lines. I feel like that yellow pops out again a little bit more than it was after all that additions and blending, but it's still blended into the rest of the look, which is what I want. And now you can probably see a really big difference between my right eye that has all those colors being built up and my left eye that I left just like this. Like I said earlier, there is nothing wrong with leaving it just like this. If you're like in a hurry and you just want something kind of cool and funky, fine. There's nothing wrong with it. But this just creates a layered effect that adds more depth and intensity to the eye. And again, you could have done that without even adding the dark brown, the French kiss color, and then it still would have looked a little bit more intense, which is probably what I would do if I was in a hurry. I would just do this and then add the GNO, which is that slightly darker pumpkin color, for a slight more intense look that carves out the socket a little bit, so that way my eyes gain some depth, but it's still super fast. And you're working with darker and darker shades, those get harder and harder because there is more blending involved, so they take more time. So just keep that in mind. If you are limited on time, try not to work with super dark colors because they do take longer to blend and get perfect and right. But now I'm gonna go ahead and do the bottom of my eyes and try to make this all kind of mesh together well, and just do need to find some balance with doing something to the bottom of your eyes. If you have smaller eyes, make sure that whatever you do to the bottom is too dark because it's gonna make them look smaller and heavy. If you have bigger eyes, then you can go a little bit more crazy with it. Go ahead and take GNO, which is the darker pumpkin shade, and I'm gonna put that underneath my lash line. Add a second layer, and by the way, I'm just using a generic shiny flat brush to do this. Bringing it all the way out to my outer corner and kind of dabbing it upward, again, because I want these to basically start blending together around my eye. Grabbing a smaller flat brush, so I'm going to grab another shiny flat brush. I'm going to go into French Kiss, which is that dark brown, and layer that on top of GNO at the bottom lash line. I'm focusing it on the outer corner all the way to like the center of my eye versus taking it all the way in. Go into this ColourPop Super Shock Shadow in Central Perk. It's basically a dark plummy brown, so this color here, and I'm gonna add that almost like eyeliner to my bottom lash line. I'm gonna go ahead and use the same shiny brush to do that. And go in with one more layer to make it more intense. As you can tell, I only brought it to like right here. That's where I stopped. I didn't take it all the way into the inner corner. And now, because it's just something I've been enjoying doing this summer, I'm gonna take this Trish McEvoy Brightening Shell. You can take any nudish eyeliner, and I'm gonna put that on my inner waterline. Taking a nude or even like a white or off-white color in your inner waterline at the bottom will always open your eyes up, make them look a little bit bigger and just like a little bit more lit up. So I usually do recommend more of a nude type of color versus a white, because the white can look a little startling, but sometimes it's cool to use white. It's really up to you. Again, I have these bright yellows and stuff on my eye, and I don't want that to look too odd, so I am gonna tightline the upper side of my eye. My black eyeliner must have grown legs and walked away, so I'm gonna use DTL from ColourPop. It's a navy blue eyeliner. It's still gonna give me that same effect because it's still really dark. You guys can really see the difference between making the bottom of the eye kind of match the top of the eye and adding those eyeliners. It really creates and completes the eye look versus leaving it like this. Even if I just add mascara to this side, it just won't look totally complete. Eyeliner makes such a big difference, or just adding a little bit of intensity near the lash line really changes the look up. To finish this eye look, I'm gonna go ahead and layer two mascaras. I'm gonna layer this Volume Colossal Express from Maybelline, this one here, and then also the MAC Pro Beyond Twisted Lashes. So I'm just gonna layer these up, and you're gonna see what a difference putting mascara on, and then you don't have to add any more eyeliner unless you really want to. Add my mascara and my eyebrows and my face, and I'll be right back so you guys can see the very final product and how it all turned out. Guys, okay, so as you can tell, the rest of my face is on. I just need to add some bottom mascara to finish this look off. Sorry, I'm searching for the mascara as I talk. I'm just gonna put that on, and you're gonna see what a difference it makes once it's all complete. So I got some mascara in my eyes. I'm gonna just kind of, with my finger, very carefully take it out and then add a little bit more lightness. And this time I found my Rimmel Nude eyeliner, which is my favorite for that underneath waterline. So I'm gonna do that this time. Now it might look a little crazy underneath the lashes, but what I do once the mascara completely dries is I go underneath there with a really light fluffy brush, and I just brush off the mascara that went down onto my skin, and then it looks perfect. So just so you know, once mascara dries, it's much easier to clean up than when it's wet. And then of course, the final step to this eye look is to curl the eyelashes. They say you're supposed to curl before you put mascara on. I just always like doing it after. Just make sure your mascara is dry before you curl them if you do it after. Alright guys, so this is the final eye look. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. As always, thank you so much for watching. If you liked this video, please subscribe, hit the notification bell. I only post about twice a month, so it's not gonna annoy you to have the notifications on, and it really helps me out because you know when I post it, and therefore you watch my videos, and the more you watch my videos, the more people can find my channel and I can grow. So thank you so very much, and as always, remember to spread love and peace, not hate, and love you guys. Mwah. Bye. Until the next time.